Hey friends, I just wanted to jump on here and say happy Friday and have some serious conversation about some just pressing things that are going on in my mind that I feel like I need to share. Gas prices have everybody just sort of going, what in the world is happening? It's one thing to say we're going to go there. It's another thing when we start going. Yep. When all of a sudden you go, oh, that wasn't a line of BS. It's really going to happen. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with gas prices. We're going to run through a couple of things. I'm going to try to give you some tips. I'd like to ask you this. Do you hear me now? Do you hear me? Can you hear me now? What I've been saying, unfortunately, is coming to fruition. I have never in my life been one to stress over, and I'm not stressed, or even consider. I remember when gas prices went up to $2.95, $3 a gallon several years ago, okay? And I remember my sweet mother-in-law would call and go, did you see gas prices? Did you see? And I just said, well, I got to pay for them, so I'm not worried about it. The concern that I have now is that we're in a much deeper situation. We're in the middle of a war. And you can say we're not involved, but we're totally involved. The United States is involved in this. We are sending resources, we are sending weapons, we are sending messages, we are sanctioning. We are in the middle of this. We are at risk for some cyber attacks. We're at risk for someone waking up in a bad mood, having a nightmare last night, and deciding they're going to get up and just start, let me just go get the U.S. because I'm done with them. Because our government has done some things over the course of our nation's life that have, frankly, pissed some people off, okay? And currently, I'm just going to be blunt here, we do not have a strong leader. Without a strong leader, and when there's weakness, where does the bully attack? He attacks the weak spot because it makes him feel stronger. Oh, kick you when you're down kind of mentality. So while I say don't worry, I do mean that 100%. Don't worry. How do you take the worry and turn it into something productive? You put action in place. That's it. It's the only thing you can do. We cannot control the prices. We can't stop it. We can't control what's going on outside of our nation and outside of our house. That is a true story. Some days out here on the farm, I feel like I can't control what's going on in my house. That's a real story. So understand that we can't control that. But what we can control is how we respond to it. And that's what this is going to be about. How are we going to respond to what is taking place? Are we going to stick our heads in the sand and we're going to pretend like this is going to go away really quickly? I promise you it's not. It's not. We might recover, but it is not going to happen quickly. I promise you. This is going to take years to dig out of. Let's talk about gas prices. So this morning I went to the pump. Some of you may have seen my post on Facebook. It was $100 for 25 gallons and maybe some change of gallons. I don't know. I'd have to look at the picture, but it's not relevant. $100 is $100. Let's see. 3 months ago, 2 months ago, I could fill up my vehicle for $60. 2 years ago, I can't even remember that far back, but I can tell you that I filled up for much less than that. Somewhere around $50, $55, okay? We all can say that, yes, we can take the cost if we're helping out by cutting off the Russian supply and whatever. The reason that the gas prices are so high is not relevant. It doesn't matter. What matters is how we're going to recover and respond to it, okay? So this is what I decided this morning when I'm not going to let my tank get below half a tank because it doesn't hurt so bad. So it's full now. At a half tank, I'll fill up. It'll be $50. It'll be just like it was before. So, winning, right? Not really, but it'll feel like it. It'll take less of a pinch at one time. The other thing is food prices. Those are going up pretty exponentially. I went to the store, and you know I don't like to go into the grocery store, but about 2.5 weeks ago, I went into the grocery store specifically to see what was on the shelves, what that looked like. Yes, the shelves are thin. There was plenty of food. Brand names are a little different now, like the brands that, you know, places are carrying. You see some struggles there. I don't know why you can't find creamed corn, but for heaven's sakes. I don't even eat creamed corn on a regular basis, y'all. But I wanted to stock some in my shelves. I don't know why. Because I was stocking my shelves. And that's not something I would probably make. I don't know how to can creamed corn. I'll learn. Anyway, can't find it. But not the point. The prices were, I didn't think terribly outrageous, but definitely they had gone up, okay? And then last week, I went into the store. I had to pick up some things for a quick, you know, some quick things. So I ran into the store after I dropped the girls off to school, and I was a little bit astounded at the prices, okay? 2 weeks ago, I was astounded at the fact that I had to pay $3.59 a gallon for gas. Today, I was like, $3.99, really? Like, we are 1 cent away from $4 a gallon. And listen, God bless California. They're paying a lot. I mean, I've seen posts of $7 a gallon. And even if it's not 7, even if it's 5, if it's 6, whatever, y'all. That's crazy. Never have I seen gas increase at this rate, okay? Or grocery prices. So now I go into the grocery store, and I was going to just get what I needed. I needed just a few little things. And I thought, well, I'll add some stuff back to my pantry, because I like to keep like hot dog chili and, you know, snacks for the girls and just basic stuff on the shelf, because it's convenient and the prices are going up too. So I went to get chili and replace some spaghetti sauce that I had used. A regular jar of Prego. I won't tell you the price because I don't remember. But I bought organic, off-brand, because it was $1 a jar cheaper than Prego. And we may have to start looking at things like that. So this may be one of those cost-effective ways. Fill your tank up at half a gallon. Keep it topped off. Change brands. Try different brands. See what you like. See what you don't like. Can your own, if you're able to. So the other thing is produce. When I went to get my first trip in a couple weeks ago, I was getting stuff for BLTs, and I was not going to the farmer's market anytime in the next 24 hours after this was requested for a meal. And so I was disappointed in the looks of the lettuce. Was wilty and kind of slimy looking, and I buy good lettuce. I don't like iceberg lettuce anymore, and I'll eat it. I'm not going to be that picky, but that's not what I like to put on my sandwiches or in a nice salad. So green leafy lettuce, terrible looking. The tomatoes look like they had a wax coating on them. They were a pale orange at best. Now they tasted good on the sandwich, but they were not, like, I wouldn't slice them and eat them. I miss my garden terribly. That's a true story. So this video is going to be a little bit longer. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And I'm not going to apologize for it. Hopefully I'm holding your interest, because we're talking about things that we should all know. So in the moments that we're in right now in the world, we're at high risk for attacks of some sort, whether it be kinetic wars on our soil or Food shortages, because a lot of our wheat, Ukraine and Russia are like two of the top wheat and grain producers in the world. So, I guarantee you they're not focused on getting that out to anybody right now. So expect those prices to go up. That's your cereal, your bread, your flour, things like that. So expect an increase there. Fertilizer has gone up. So there's a corn problem right now because corn, you know, I said this in an earlier video, corn requires a higher amount of fertilizer to get mass production. Let's see. Anyway, my point is, what are you doing to prepare for that stuff? I'm going to tell you this. Today is the lowest price on groceries that you are going to see for the next several weeks, if not months, and potentially years. So buy your food now. Go stock up, or you're going to be spending ridiculous amounts of money for something silly, okay? A can of vegetables could have been just a few weeks ago 59 cents a can, and they're now anywhere from $1.09, $10 to $1.59. That adds up. Well, I don't eat canned vegetables. Okay, don't. But when there's shortages of those vegetables because crops are down and fertilizer is expensive, you might need those. I would not waste any amount of time to go out there and just stock up a little bit. How much should you stock? I can't tell you that in a simple response. I couldn't probably tell you that anyway. I don't know what you eat. I don't know how many people you're feeding. I don't know how much space you have, or how much ability you have to grow these things on your own, because that's going to affect how much you should stock up. Let's just break it down as simple as water. Okay, so water is, the general rule is 1 gallon per day per person. Well, why would you stock up on water? What if we're cyber attacked? We have had grid down situations under normal circumstances. Just bad weather has caused us to have no power for days. Hurricanes, winter storms, whatever that looks like. We have been in those situations under normal, natural circumstances. Now you have a war. The economy is tanking. The dollar is ridiculous. The value is... And I'm going to tell you in a very basic form what inflation is. It's a theft of your wages. That's what it is. It's a theft of your labor. Because of the cost, everything has gone up. You're going to work the same amount of money, but you're going to spend more money on buying the things that you need. Not even considering the things that you want. But the things that you need are now being taken from you, from your labor. So think about someone who makes $10 an hour and they have to put $100 worth of gas in their truck a week to get to work. I don't drive that much. So even if you live close to your job, if you drive a pickup truck or any kind of an SUV to haul your children around in, those people are not going to be able to make it. I don't know if any of you are watching that are in that situation, but it's going to get hard. So make sure you're not having to make a decision about whether or not to feed your children or your family or put gas in your vehicle. And you do that by preparing. That is how you do that. Right now, today, the price of food is not going to be any less expensive going forward for I don't know how long, an indeterminate amount of time. If I were you, I would say it's never going to go backwards, and that's your safe bet. I think that's fair enough. So prepare now. Put some stuff on your shelf at these prices. I am super grateful that I started doing this a couple of years ago. Now, I'm not rubbing it in. I didn't start this because I knew this was coming. I started this because it was convenient and I liked the idea of shopping off of my shelves. But as we've progressed in this new world order, is what I'm calling it, because I do believe we are being put in a place for adjustment, a big adjustment. That's just me, and I'm not giving you any advice. I'm just saying that's my opinion, is that we are being put in a place where we will adjust. We will comply. So that's how you're going to offset your food costs. Learn to bake bread. There's 3-ingredient bread recipes all over the place on YouTube right now. Go learn some. Just take a couple weekends and say, I'm gonna make a couple loaves of bread today. I'm gonna practice while I have the moment to do it. And then that's gonna prompt you to know what you need to do to make bread. Stock that. So people worry about bugs in their cabinets, and I just want to talk about that super briefly. When you're buying dry goods, beans, rice, flour, things like that, you can get those little, I don't know what they're called, bugs, little flies. If you bring home, say you go buy a 10-pound bag of flour, put it in the freezer for 48 hours. It will kill off anything that was alive in there, and it will not reproduce, and you'll never know it's in there. Sick? Maybe, but do it. And then get yourself an airtight container to put it in. Or store it in your freezer. I've done that for years. I just don't have room in my freezer anymore. So because I have other things that I'm putting in the freezer now, food-wise, I don't have room to store flour. So I have had to learn to find airtight containers. Not going to go into a great deal about that. But that's a simple way to do one thing. 10-pound bag of flour before it gets priced out of your hands, because you're not going to get bread, okay? If there's a wheat problem, and there is going to be a wheat and grain problem. So that's a couple things about just pantry stuff. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. I'll answer them. I'll try to do another video on how do you offset other things. Stock up on your laundry soap right now. Cleaning supplies. As much as you can. I'm not saying go break the bank. I'm saying when you go to the store, double up. Just double up every time you go. If you buy 1 can of corn, buy 2. If you normally buy 5 pounds of flour, buy 10. Still get the things that you need, but just give it just a little boost, okay? Just put a little bit extra back every time you go to the grocery store, and you're going to notice a difference very quickly, because the prices are going to keep going up. I cannot say that enough to you. So I found myself at the grocery store the other day looking at some chicken breasts. Okay. So I'm kind of low on my stock of chicken. And I wanted to can some up. So I went and I just was peeking around, and I saw a tiny little package of chicken breasts, and they were fresh chicken breasts, not the frozen kind. First of all, they look terrible. 2 chicken breasts in them for $7.19. 2. A couple months ago, I was buying a package of somewhere between 8 and 10 for about $10 a package. Boneless, skinless. Understand that this is happening. Doesn't matter if you want it to or not. Do not put your head in the sand on this. You do not want your family to go hungry. There are terrible things that can happen when people start to starve. And if you think people are angry now, wait till they get hungry. Hangry is not even a good word. People will rob you, steal from you, and take your things. Okay? Don't tell anybody that you're stocking up. Don't tell them where you're putting your stores. Just do it. And if you do it a little bit at a time, I've heard people for months now on, channels that I follow and people that I follow that are like-minded, saying that they see people staring them down. So you're not going to the store in a mad rush when something goes awry, because there's nothing hardly on the shelf now. Imagine if we have some sort of a panic that everybody runs to the store. Are you ready? Ask yourself that. My own answer is, I mean, I could sustain for a couple weeks. I don't know how long outside of that I could go. I'd like to think I could go for a couple months, but I also have children and I have family members that I'm going to make sure they're not starving. I can't feed the world, but you can't either, but you can feed your house. And that is what you need to focus on, okay? The next thing is, think about your water supply and get yourself some, you know, I've seen the bottles of water for, you know, a gallon of water for anywhere from $1, and all that's gone up now, but $1 to $1.09. So if you have 4 people in your family, that means you need 4 gallons of water per day, per person. That's not counting if we have something that happens and you need to flush toilets and you need to wash dishes and you need to cook with it. Okay, that's just if you can't get a good supply of water for drinking. The other thing you can do is, you know, fill up 1 gallon empty milk jugs with water and store them up in your garage or in a little closet somewhere and just tuck them away. That's your water flushing. That's your, you know, you can do dishes with that. You can take a bath with that. It's not, you know, I wouldn't save my best water for that, is my point, okay? So what kind of things can you do? You got animals that need to be watered, like a dog that lives in your house that needs water. I would give my dog the water that I have stored up out of my faucet. That's what they drink every day. In a bad situation, I'm drinking that water unless it's really bad. Unless there's a ban on it, you know, a burn, but then you boil it. So water is a great thing to have stocked up. Do you stack it to the rafters? I would stack my food to the rafters and add water as I go. If you have access to, or you can get a water filtration system, do that. Even the little ones that sit on your counter are going to pull out something. So if you had to boil water because of a contaminated water source, you could boil it and then run it through that filtration system and it would be drinkable. Okay, we're not going to get into all that like grid down prepper stuff. I'm just giving you some ideas. If you drink juice, get some juice. Coffee. Maybe you stop buying coffee because you can't afford it anymore now that you have to put $100 worth of gas in your vehicle a week. So stock up on coffee now. It's not getting any cheaper. It's not going to happen. Get yourself some to put in your house or give it up. I mean, that's where we're coming down. I feel like that's where we're coming down to. Okay. How do you know when you've had enough? How do you know when you have enough stored up? I don't have the answer for that. I really don't. I would say that if you had 7 days worth of food, and we'll break that down on another video, but what 7 days worth of food looks like for a family, and you want to include breakfast, lunch, and dinner, okay? 3 meals a day. That's how you want to sustain for a 7-day period. You shouldn't have to go to starvation mode, okay? You shouldn't have to go to rationing your food in a 7-day downtime. If you put 30 days away, you get down to the 3rd week and it's still going on. You're like, I better ration this last stuff out. Maybe then you go down to a lower number of meals a day and just filling up the belly, okay? Let's see. I made notes so I would try to stay on task with this because there's a lot to cover. When should you stop storing? When this is over. I would stop prepping for craziness when this ends. And again, that doesn't mean, let's just say you haven't been storing up stuff and so you go to the grocery store and you drop $200 on just canned goods. I wouldn't say do that every day, every week until this stops. I would say do your initial run and then restock. Just restock. Because if canned food went to, if canned goods go to $5 a can for a can of corn, that's not going to feed a family. Okay? But if you have 3 and you know you're going to have, this isn't going to make sense, so I'm not even going to go there. Anyway, just restock. Just call it that. Okay, so that's really all I have for storing up. I hope that you are listening. Buy some seeds. Even if you're not planning on planting this year, go buy some seeds. Get your seeds in stock, because those will go away as well. If we're not producing food, nobody's saving seeds. Okay? So if you put seeds on your shelf, they will last. Put them in a cool, dark place. They don't need anything special. If it's onions, don't do that. Onions are not good for a year. The onion seeds are not. You just may have to go without onions. But everything else you can use. You may get a little less yield as time goes on. But if you have to start planting your food, or having someone else plant it for you because you don't have the space, then you're bringing your own seeds and saying, hey, can I plant a community garden, anything like that? Those are real things. Go back and investigate what a victory garden is. We are literally teetering on the edge of a collapse, y'all. If you don't believe that, I'm going to need you to hit your knees. Don't be afraid. Preparing for something is biblical. We're told to prepare. We're told to store up, not just for ourselves, but to help others. So this is not a bad thing. What's happening is not the most fun, but preparing is not a bad thing. Halfway fill your tanks, or fill your tanks up at halfway. Put some back if you have it. If you have propane tanks that you need to get filled for grilling out or whatever, do that. 'Cause I'm telling you, prices are not going down. That is the biggest concern currently, is that we are not going to go backwards. Will we ever? I don't know the answer to that. We don't typically. When we go up, we usually stay where we're at. You may see prices drop a little bit, but this could be our new standard of living. So, and wages are sure not going up. So, I need y'all to take care and get ready to hunker down in your space if you need to. And I don't mean in a lockdown or something like that, but be ready to feed your family from your house, from your pantry, instead of depending on this system that is quickly breaking down.